Welcome to this week's episode of The Oracles. As always, I am with my incredible and fantastic superstar oracle, Zima Zibugo. Today, we are joined by a lady whose job, amongst many other things, is to make sure that you know and see some of your favorite artists. This lady is a brilliant specialist in the media space, for the most part, being a public relations strategist. When I say she's a media specialist, I'm not just talking about someone with their own PR company. I'm talking about someone who's been in radio, who's a writer, a blogger, and an events organizer. And those are just the things we currently know about her. Ladies and gentlemen, today the Oracles present to you a shining light, a PR guru, the CEO of ESA Media. If you follow her on social media, you know her as Lesa the Great. Here today is Palesa Moditambi. Palesa, how are you?
Bo, 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 bo. I'm well. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. I'm very, very good. I see Z smiling, and I'm assuming that she's good as well.
It's her aura.
Yes. How are you?
Yeah.
Like,
No,
look at her, like, let's rock.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Lisa, it's such a pleasure to have you with us today.
Thank
I've mentioned a couple of things about you, but we haven't even scratched the surface on who you are. I'll start with the most boring question to ask on a first date. Please tell us about yourself.
Wow. Where do I even start with that one? Uh, it really is such a difficult question to answer sometimes when it's put into when it's directed at you, because part of my job is to mainly talk about everybody else. I'm responsible for a lot of people's profiles, and that part of the business is what I'm great at. But the moment that question is posed at me, it seems to be a little bit difficult to answer. But in short, I suppose Palesa Moditambi, which you said beautifully, is Mokororo wa Vavenda, but don't ask me to speak any more Venda past that. It's a wrap.
And here I was ready to guess you up.
No. We're not gonna go past that, right? But yeah, I'm a rainbow child. If I talk about my origins of who's this family's the closer side, this side is just a whole lot. So I'm a typical South African girl, however, born and raised in Soweto. Spent a lot of my time there. Got a lot of siblings. Dad's side, we've got 7 sisters. Mom's side is 2 of us, though. I don't have a single brother. So I grew up, a very simple life, but a very good one as well. My mom definitely made sure that I was secure in that retrospect. I was that girl that went to Rosebank Primary, Crystal High. I was in boarding school. So yeah, wow, you're really making me think back, okay? But yeah, this is part of my life. And then, once that had happened, after I left high school, I was somebody that was part of an internship, and then I ended up joining, a corporate company. And that part of my life is a part of my life I would like to forget, ideally. But yeah, went past the corporate side, followed my dream of wanting to be in the media side, and here we are, on the articles, chat with you guys.
Okay, wait, that was great, actually. I like that. It took us back to who you were. Now, what I'm trying to understand, in you saying that going to corporate and doing what you did, why did you even end up there? For you to get that internship, knowing that you want to be in media, how did you end up in that part of the world?
So I'll be quite honest, when I was in high school, I was one of those, young people that struggled to choose, right? For the longest time, I was kind of like, what faculty am I going to go with? Which side am I going to end up in? And a lot of the times, a lot of what I wanted to do was well within the media industry. I mean, I've thought about doing fashion buying, and I thought about doing interior designing. That was just a lot of what I had thought about, I hadn't fully learned what it was in terms of what I wanted to do, because another part was like, well, maybe I could be a TV presenter or be in radio and that sort of thing, but I never quite got the words for what it fell under, and I'm proud Black girl, and, you know, growing up under a Black household, you know, especially because my mother passed away when I was very young, and I was not raised by my father, you know, and so I was now raised by my grandmother, you know, and that generation, you know what it's like, you know, their only type of security is you either become a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer, and that's it, right? And so my mother having been an accountant, it was that thing of, oh, and my uncle was my mother's brother, who is also somebody who raised me, who was now, you know, systems engineer. That just seemed like the only logical choice, you know. And my grandmother was somebody who enforced that quite loudly, and man, I love her, but I feel like, you know, she didn't understand that although I was born from an accountant, the accountant and I have two completely different personalities, you know. And it became difficult to try and express myself, to be like, look, I want to do something within the media space, because that just didn't seem like something that was sustainable at all, you know. And so it just seemed like a diabolical conversation to be having with a Black grandparent in our era. Like, it's like, you insane child, what are you saying to me? There's absolutely no security. And I think, you know, my grandmother worried a lot, especially seeing the fact that, you know, I lost my mother at a young age. Her basis was, this child needs to survive, you know. She needs to make it and be better than whatever, or the next person. However, maybe she felt like that was the way, you know. And either way, I mean you, and I get where she was coming from. It was just basically, and I mean this in the nicest way, it was just a very uneducated push, you know. She doesn't know more about what's out there for us, and the options that we are now faced with, we have much more variety these days, you know. So it was very, very difficult to finally express myself, and it took a lot. It really did. When I actually didn't even enroll anywhere by my matric year, and I was just like, wow, so what you know, kind of attitude. And it was difficult because my grandmother still didn't support that. It was like, why do you think that you're going to chill in my house and not do anything, you know? So it was very difficult. And she was actually the one that found me the internship, you know. She found me the internship, and this was the place where my mother's trust fund was. And what they did was, they, like, you know, every year they would take in a group of matriculants that were part of the trust fund babies, basically, that were in the matric year. And I was one of the chosen ones. You know, I went through the process, and I was like, well, since I haven't enrolled in anything, this is a good start. And I mean, I'll be making money either way, so let's start here. And that's how I ended up in the internship. And, you know, I spent a year of my time there. And, you know, if you don't focus on what it is that you want, you know, you'll obviously get carried away with other things. And I think that's exactly what happened, because then I was now more fixated on making it within that industry, you know. But you know, it still never felt right, because where I felt I was more dominant was within the marketing and the sales department. So that part of me always still came out, even within that space, you know. And I mean, my personality was completely different to everybody that I worked with in corporates. It was a pain. It was a complete pain, I kid you not. But you know, I think the first steps that I actually took towards finally choosing myself and choosing what it is that I wanted to do, you know, was when I decided, look, I'm an adult now, and I'm going to take my trust fund monies, and I'm going to pay towards Boston, you know. And Boston was literally down the road. I think it was a sign from the gods, but it was literally down the road from my corporate job then. And I was like, this is exactly what I'm going to do. And I enrolled, and I did everything on my own. And once I was done, I was like, grandmother, uncle, this is what I've done. The money's gone now. 60 G's. It's out. So we're getting it back.
Yeah, now deal with it.
So we gotta just be content. You know what I mean? And that's how I ended up studying there. And that was like the first step towards me finally feeling like liberated towards what it is that I wanted to do, you know? And it felt good. It really did. So yeah, that's why it took so long.
Yeah, no, I feel see coming between them and you know, so many people always know what they want to do when they're in high school.
Yeah.
I matriculated, got good results, and I was like, okay, what now? I literally got to Rosebank. I went to Rosebank College. I got there, and I was like, I'm here to register, but for what? I don't even
You
know.
see?
So right now I feel sick. So you're putting a smile on my face.
Yeah.
Yeah, blowing all that money, at least you never made it to I blew it. So that's a good thing.
There we go. That's something,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah,
That's
it's a good
something.
thing. Now
Mama
understand
can
that,
be proud. That's something.
yeah,
Yeah.
at least you blew it in a good way. Um,
True.
Now I'm trying to find the gap between. Even I understand that your world in corporate is something that you want to forget about, but now I'm trying to
Yeah.
find the gap between but being in PR and being corporate. What job did you do when for the financial company?
So, like I said, when I started out, it was an internship. So then we then decided which side did you feel that you were well suited in. So
Yeah.
the company mainly deals with like investments, trust funds, life covers, that sort of thing. So where I ended up was more of the investment side, which is in sales, right? And so that's what I did for a huge chunk of my years there. So that's where I was. I mean, you could ask me about interest rates and I could drop them like bars, hey. So it was a serious thing, like
Yeah.
dealing with people's money. And I think I love that part, I mean, as much as I want to forget about that part of my life, it really did teach me a lot, And I always used to say, because I mean, when I started working, a lot of my peers were starting varsity, right? And I mean, like I said, it was straight out of high school. And whilst at that point in time, I felt left out, I was actually gaining quite a lot of experience of the real world, life that they are only catching up to now. You know what I mean? And we've been in this, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, and I'm grateful for that. And I learned a lot about investments and saving money and that sort of thing. So that's a huge chunk of my life that I can never take away from that. So, and then once I left the investment side within the same company still, then I went into like group benefits, which just takes care of your life covers and all that jazz within like, big companies and that sort of thing. So yeah, so that's basically what I did. But yeah, that's when I was sure I don't want to do this anymore. The group benefit side was like, it's okay, guys. Like, yeah, no, this dealing with underwriting, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Yeah, I get you.
Yeah.
And I like how you said
Yeah.
you learned how to deal with money. And I feel like that's what I love. A lot of artists in this country need. So they need it by their side, right here.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, it was a yes, it was a lot. It was eye-opening, but yeah, like I said, because in between all that, remember now I was working the 9 to 5, and then at night I was going to my classes. So it was exhausting. It was truly exhausting. Weekends, I was going to my classes because a lot of the times I needed to attend classes 2 hours after work. Right? And now you're traveling by a bus and you gotta be up bright and early again to make sure that you're in by 7, so that you know that by 5 o'clock you're done with work, so that 5 o'clock you're going to class again, right? And then on Saturday, you know that 9 o'clock you need to be classes from 9 to 1 o'clock. So it was a lot of sacrifices, and then in between all of that, you need to be doing your assignments.
Yeah.
So a lot of it required me to, even on days that I wasn't going to class, to stay in the office quite late, to use their resources. you know, it was a lot. It was really a lot. But those are some of the best, years of my life. I mean, I went to
Yeah.
class with a lot of people that were way older than me. I'm talking about people that had children that were my age. And it was so great to just see the sacrifices of people. That I was one of the youngest. I think there was only two of us that were young at that time, and
Mm.
I think I was the second youngest. The first one was like about 19, and then I was like about 20 at that point in time. So
Mm.
like and you out to chilling with people who are like 27, 28, 29, 30, 40, but just seeing how they're not giving up towards their dreams. And it was great. It was great to just see her, and I'm just busy in class, right? And that woman would kill it. She would come out with like 100% for tests. It was amazing. And I mean, it's like, how do you not remain inspired? How do you not continue? I mean, it's just amazing, you know? So those are some of the best years of my life. I learned a lot. Like I said, whilst initially I had felt left behind by my peers starting before me, I actually got a huge step ahead, you know, and I was actually able to go at my own pace, you know, and I was able to learn a lot, you know, navigate a lot. And I think being around a lot of older people, they were able to guide me as well and be like, yo, maybe do this, do that, and people that have done it prior to me, you know. So I'll forever be grateful for those years. Yeah.
You know, the inspiration that you gain from the people you went to school with and the sacrifices you saw from them. Now it makes me understand why you took the leap of faith that you took in 2020. The time when people wanted to be comfortable and be secure, you were like, no, I'm starting this thing. What made you start this thing in 2020? And how has the journey been so far?
So, you know, can I be very honest? In corporate, you must think about it. And I mean this in the nicest way again. It's like more of your A-type personalities, right? And here's this B-type, completely on a tangent, you know. A lot of them didn't support my decision. Actually, it was a thing of, are you mad? Why would you want to leave your job? Right,
especially in the middle of
COVID.
That's my thing. 2020. Like, when people were seeking security, you were like, no, I'm taking this risk.
And I was like, I am done. I am done. You know, I think it was so frustrating because one, we're at home, but you guys are far away from me, and you are still frustrating me way more than when we're in the office. I know, guys, something must give. I was like, no,
I'm not
doing this. I'm just not doing this. I'm like, what? What? I, you know, it wasn't even just about trying to be funny or anything, but like literally my mental health, my physical health was deteriorating, right? Because of the unhappiness that I was feeling on a daily. I remember I would have to wake up. My gosh, the thought of having to just log in. Guys, I'm not even going to the office, but I'm just logging in. And I'm just already so despondent, you know? You are literally going to the doctor every single month because you are not well and you can't figure out what is wrong with you, but you are just not well, you know? And you are continuously stressed. My word, that industry, stressful. People are unhappy there. There's just too much, you know? And then you get somebody like me. I remember in the office, people would always ask me questions like, why are you always so happy? And I'm like, guys, why are you always so sad? Like, can we talk about that? You know? And so it was too much. Like things like, you know, with bigger over things like Palesa's too loud. Like, what? Excuse me? I bring this vibrance to this office space and you tell me I'm too loud.
And make you guys smile.
I used to tell them flat out, I was like, you guys are oppressing me. You're oppressing me. Writing that resignation letter was the best thing ever. And I'm not even gonna lie, I'm sure people were cheering that moment. They were like, the loud one is finally gone. But I was like, I'm so happy to leave y'all in your miserable space. And I mean, it wasn't all miserable for all of them. I mean, my work bestie, let me not even lie, she's like my life bestie as well. But she was also like, she enjoyed that space because that's what she enjoyed doing, you know? And I love that for her. And she's still in that space. And so I think, you know, I don't judge her for that. But she always knew that that's not where I needed to be. And a lot of them knew it, you know. A lot of them could see it. And even when I would go to my auditions or do my radio show over the weekends, because that was still when I was working in corporate. So when you're doing school, you're in radio, you're doing this 9 to 5. Like, but a lot of them could see the joy that I felt more, you know, when I was doing the other hustle. And I was just like, it's so sad that I only get to do it for such a small amount of time, you know. And that's how I was putting my all into it, you know, because I just felt like this was the one thing that made me happy. And even though it meant that I needed to sacrifice my weekends, basically, it was okay, you know. So yeah, you know, that gap, it was a crazy one. Trying to bridge between corporate and then, you know, trying to get into that media space and then that wild decision. And I won't even lie, it wasn't an easy one. And a lot of the times when people come to me and they ask me, they're like, how do you feel about people just leaving their jobs without a plan? And I'll always tell them, and I'll always be honest, and I think that don't do it. If you are not going to be okay with being broke, don't do it. There's a lot that comes with that sacrifice. Honestly speaking, it was just that by the time I think I'd reached a point of desperation that I was okay with that. I was okay and content with that idea of I will figure it out, and I knew myself that I wasn't just going to let it lying down. And it took a while. Okay, not too long. I mean, things worked out for me quite quickly, actually. But it did take a minute of not knowing when that breakthrough was actually going to come. Because I mean, I only got my job in October and I'd resigned in June, and so money was running dry by October. Trust me on that, and it was like it was because these people rob us, man. They don't pay us enough. These corporate companies, they don't pay us enough. So by the time you get your pension fund, it's peanuts. But so it was tough. But one thing I kept in mind, and I mean, I had a great support system. I had a friend that was like, just always like, friend, let's apply at 10 places per day. That was literally the lengths and strengths that I was going to, and I don't feel like people that should tell you that, you should leave your job is an easy decision. Like if you've got a plan, that's when I'd be like, leave it. But if you feel like you're in a point of where I was, where you're just unhappy and your mental health is just no longer the one, then by all means, I support your decision. I mean, I just had my best friend who told me, he was like to me, I part of my decision is because of what I saw you do, like he was also going through a space where it was just terrible at work. And he's just like, you motivated me into doing this decision and choosing my health, and my happiness over just a paycheck, and I'll figure it out. I will. And when you're in a position whereby you have to figure it out because you're not a person who just likes not having a plan. You are gonna do something. You will make the earth move, And I think that was just part of who I was. I was just determined to make sure that I make a plan happen. And that's when the next chapter of my life finally came around,
And actually, I want to talk about that next chapter of your life. And I want us now to talk about PR in the music space. What goes into doing PR? Well, I mean, what goes into doing PR for musicians and record labels?
Well, first and foremost, you obviously just need to have the passion for it. Otherwise, you won't deal with half the shit that goes on there. That's an honest truth. But once you've got the passion for it, I mean, it's always a great option to study it, right? But in all honesty, you can progress even without the studies. I'll be very honest. It just goes according to a person's determination. I kid you not, see. It goes according to a person's determination and how they wanna go about it. For me, my journey with PR literally started with me reaching out to somebody that was well within the media space, right? And he was a publicist for massive artists, right? And he used to bring me my artists on my show, my weekend show, when I was still doing radio. And that's how I still had these connects. And when I asked him, I was like, yo, dude, look, I left my job. I don't have a plan. And I don't know anything about PR. Please teach me, because I know that that's the direction that I want to go. And he was like to me, look, unfortunately, there's nothing here by us. But if there's something that pops up, I'll let you know. And I was like, okay, cool. But 2 weeks later, he called me. He's like, it's like, I've got something, but it's not within that company that you initially wanted to be under, but it's something else. You'll be helping out of, more of these up and coming artists. But are you still keen? And I was like, beats doing nothing, and it teaches me what I want to know. So definitely. And that was literally day one of the rest of my life. And so I then joined in, And I was earning easily 1,500. Like, guys, like, I kid you not, people think that it was easy. Like, what are you gonna do with that? That's enough to buy airtime, right? And like, I literally made that sacrifice because I was like, look, this is what I want to do, and where am I going to learn? Where am I going to learn? Because I've knocked, and I'm talking about even when I was at my corporate job, excuse me, I was knocking and I was sending and I was calling and I was getting referrals, and none of it was coming to life, you know. And that, so I felt like this was finally the time. And you know, for me, I had friends whose parents are prominent artists in this industry, right? And they still didn't want to give me the chance, despite the fact that they could see. I mean, the fact that I'm a great writer, they could see that. But they literally never took me seriously. And the first person, funny enough, to take me seriously in terms of my PR aspect of things was an ex-boyfriend. Rap, you know, vibes.
Oh, the rap.
And he was just like, I kid you not, rapper vibes. And I remember he wanted to go to this Mosquito festival. And I said to him, I was like, when I pay border, one, I'm gonna do your logo. Two, we're gonna make it right. We're gonna make this thing work. And you know, it was the best thing ever. And even though he didn't get far, the fact that I had that opportunity to produce that for him. And I mean, even though we're no longer together now, he still uses that, like the logo that I created for him. And I know now he trusts me. Now he trusts me for sure. But you know, I must give kudos to that guy, man, because he literally trusted me. Shout out to the trip, guys. But but like, you know, I was like, so definitely I don't mind helping up and coming guys. So that's what I did. And I did that for like a good portion of, so like from 2020 October till like, you know, like around March day in 2021. But then that's honestly when things just started going down with the person that was like helping me, where just felt as though I was the one that was doing. And the more you'd speak about it, it was just seeming crazy. And a lot of the times the artists were like, we're happy with you, but we're not happy with the owner, you know? And you're like, how does this work out? You know, and there were just a lot of times people would be like, why aren't you doing your own thing? Would work with you if you were doing your own thing. And because of, man, loyalty, guys, ish loyalty. I felt like I couldn't leave him. I was like, I can't leave because, like, you know, he told me all I know. He gave me the chance when nobody else did. How do I leave him? You know? And it was like, and I think it was to be very honest, as somebody who was always confident, I lacked the confidence to believe in myself to be able to do it, you know, because everyone around me was like, girl, you can do this, right? Because you are already doing it. I just didn't believe in myself enough at that point in time. But it literally got to a point when we were like, late last year, we had stopped working, then we started working again together. Then late last year, around October again, I think October is my month, by the way, guys. Like, miracles always happen October time, just putting it out there. So around October again, we had approached, you know, a company, right, with one of the biggest artists in SA. And I'll travel onto that once we reach that part. You know, I don't want to jump before you guys ask the necessary questions, but we had we had approached this, you know, what is this, like the company of this huge South African artist. And and what was crazy is that this guy was like, we're gonna work pro bono. I was like, excuse me, for free?
It's economy.
I was work for free, you know. But because, like, you know what, I believed him, and where he was taking us, he had the connection. I was like, okay, it's fine. Let's see where this takes us. But once again, I was faced in the position whereby I was doing all the work and he wasn't, you know. It was crazy because, like, we'd get into meetings and he wouldn't be there. You know what I mean? And I was just like, right, okay, this is where I draw the line, because one, I'm looking unprofessional and my career hasn't even lived. So I can't be having this way. I create somebody that, and I mean, the name of Issa, guys, it's literally just my name. Honestly, it is. And it's just that a lot of the times people aren't used to calling Palesa by Issa. They literally calling Palesa Pali, you know, Lesa even. And this guy, I remember we went to some events because my brother hosts events. He does these Kofifi events, right? And there was one of the gentlemen that was there, one day, and he says to me, he was like, "Hey, Issa." And I'm like, "Oh my God, no one's ever called me that before." I was like, "I need to use that somewhere."
We're taking this one.
I don't know. I don't know where I'm going to use it, but I'm going to use it somewhere. And I remember I went back to work and I was telling my friend, I was like, "Yo, guys, like some guy literally called me Issa and I love it." And I was like, "Imagine if I was to call my company Issa Media." I was like, "Wow, that has got a beautiful ring to it." And that's literally when I decided upon it. And we even created a logo right there and then. The logo that you see right now was created probably 2015, 2016 there, long ago. So she was born a long time ago. She was just brought to life now, you know.
Yeah.
You know? And like obviously then now when I decided, okay, no, now it's time that I put Issa to good use. That is when I started working with people that would take, a chance with me. And I was talking to a lot of those people that initially were like, "Yo, if we were to work with you, like, if you were to open up your own organization, we want to work with you." Then I was like, "Okay, cool." And it really boosted my confidence because then I was seeing what I was doing for them. And even more, the appreciation that I was getting from them was wonderful. It really, I cannot express to you guys like the amount of relief that you get from just being able to move a certain brand from what it was to something better, something bigger. And I mean, they may not have been massive, but the contribution that you made, for them to recognize you as their PR person was just honestly amazing. And that's when I was sure that I was in the right direction and I was in the right space more than anything. Knew that that's literally my idea. Palesa is going to jump on it for sure. That's just who I've been, and I admire that risk taking, aspect of myself. And so that's literally how basically less than a year I've been doing PR for 3 years now, we can say, but less has existed for less than a year, right? And in that space, I mean, I managed to approach Ivy Sign Entertainment. Well, actually, they approached me, actually. Let's not get that twisted. But they approached me and they were like, "Yo, girl, let's do some work." And I mean, it was huge. I mean, I used to wait. When was it? Like back in 2016, I was obsessed with Your Nasty Teeth. Now to be working with him, that was wild, it was like a wild shift. You know what I'm saying? That was one of the best, highlights of my career. I managed to work with Ganyani Entertainment as well. I got to work with Ganyani and Timogo. So that was like super, super interesting. And then last year, a nice swing that also came in was then when we approached, 1020 Cartel, and that's when I started working with Strava and Raf and their whole record label. And so that was another, amazing part of my career. But in between all of that, I mean, I've worked with a lot of brands from, your Obrikwanas, to your, there's just a whole lot. I mean, the big, the small, in between, everyone. Like, there's a lot of people. Your Saptas, your Shira, the DJs. Like, there's just a lot of people that I've connected with, in this time, and I've continued to work with, and I hope to continue to still work with. So yeah, and that's just how my baby's been born. And then, as being part of that, being part of PR, it means that you must also do a bit of like events. You know what I mean? I've planned quite a couple of listening sessions and launches, and that's been fun. And now more recently, I've actually joined a group called La Funk Events and Activations, and that's now the event side of things, which I am absolutely enjoying. So, and now busy with a huge event, which I'm super excited about, and I cannot wait to talk more about that.
Yeah. No, you mentioned the guys you've worked with, and I hear you mention like Iverson and 1020 Cartel. Do you work with like the entire record label or the organization, or is it just like one artist in particular that you just focus on at a time?
So reality is, once you've joined the whole establishment, you work with everyone, right? Even if maybe, for example, at that point in time, like when we wanted to push Audio Mark's song with Nasty C and Blackie, Why Me? So I worked aggressively on that launch. But ideally, because I entertainment and the Loyalty Group were two companies of like two different, they were all within the same group, was more responsible for like Rolina say, and more of like your Huawei essays, because those were type of the type of brands that they were taking care of as well. So it literally dabbled in everything. Same thing with 1020 Kalulu and that.
Let's look at a minute. How crucial is PR for musicians? And is there a stage in their career when artists need to start working with someone like yourself, or should they do it as soon as they start, like at the beginning, or once they've developed a bit?
That's a brilliant question. I mean, a lot of the times I would ideally say as soon as you start, as soon as you get into it. But reality is that, they not every artist has got the financial backing to be able to do that for themselves, and if you do, I think it's always great. It's a great investment. You would never waste money. I mean, Richard Branson once said that if he was broke, the main thing that he spent his last money is on good PR, right? Yeah. And there's a reason why, because once you're known and once everybody hears about you and they want to be associated to your brand and you put it in that good image, you're sold. You really are sold, And so that's literally, I would tell everybody to have a PR person. A person's like your fairy godmother, godfather as well. The person really does look out for you, because a lot of my job, you look out for your artist a lot of the time. You literally become their start and their end. You know what I mean? And so it's a great investment for your career and what it can do for you. I mean, there's no point in creating music and creating content, but no one receiving it, and because we're already connected to dealing with 100 other clients, and I already have that relationship with these media outlets, right? So it's super important for one to make sure that they definitely invest in PR and marketing. It's like the best way to speak to your people, to connect with your brand, and to allow others to connect with your brand too. So it's super important in my aspect, to get a me.
You've mentioned some pretty big names of artists that you've worked with. And I was tempted to ask you which artists do you consider the biggest that you've worked with? But I'm not going to go there because it's just going to be a very difficult question. But what I'm going to ask you is,
yeah, don't be that guy.
I'm not going to ask that. I'm not going to ask that. But what I want to ask you is that I want us to talk about artists and situations. The first question is, which artist has been an absolute nightmare for you to work on, particularly where maybe a situation that they've been going through? And also, the second question is, which one has been a pleasure to work with?
That's basically saying the question that you wouldn't ask. Yo, could I be a horrible person and not answer? Because it's real. It is real. Yo, guys, it's real.
Yeah. Okay, let's do this. Let's focus on the pleasure then. Who's been the one you enjoyed working with? Like, I'm sure you enjoyed with working with all of the rights, but the one you were like, this person made this whole process like a smooth ride,
Top of my list definitely has to be Kabinina. Working with Kabinina, so for me, top of my head, without leaving my other people, I love guys, and we're not gonna talk about the bad parts of anything here because wow. But yeah, she definitely has been a pleasure. She's been a pleasure. Mm-hmm. Yeah, for the most part.
Because I mean, with Kabonina, you can pretty much tell, Guti, she's a great person to work with. Whenever I see her on TV, I see some of her videos. You can just tell with the energy that she gives, especially to people that she works with, the people that she has around her. It's easy to tell, Guti. She's a very easy person to work with.
Absolutely, she definitely is. Life of the party, that one.
Yeah. Now, I want us to go into you mentioned the events that you've been a part of. So I want us to go into events management and organizing. Please tell us about that and what has the experience been like for you so far?
Wow. Events is a lot, guys, especially when you're starting. There's a difference between like doing an event like a launch or a listening session or something like that. Then there's a difference of like organizing a festival. It is the amount of work is insane. I admire my team and I just really admire the work that goes into it. We are working tirelessly, every day to ensure the success of the upcoming event that we'll be doing. But like I said, Lafang events and activations has been around since 2020, right? And they are responsible for your festivals like Tembisa Jazz Festival, right? And so right now we'll actually be working on an event called the Women's All White Celebration, which we'll be doing at Mall of Africa Waterfall Park on the 6th of August. And we're really looking forward to that. But anybody that's going to say that that's easy is lying through their teeth, and they must send me their address so I can fight them personally, right? Because it is insane the amount of work that goes into it. I mean, our conversations are endless on a daily. We are talking to each other. We're talking to each other at ungodly hours. I kid you not. It's literally a thing of it's not just about taking care of the entertainment, like who's going to go on your stage. We literally are taking care of the safety of all those people, from security officers to literally, getting authorizations from the police officers, fire stations, to ensuring the right measurements in terms of, the area and the surface area that we'll be using. I mean, to literally taking care of stuff like how many toilets are going to be there. It's insane, but it's also an eye opener, and granted, like, I really, really think that once it works out, it's something that's completely beautiful. I think people like right now, and as I look at our lineup, because we're going to be having something Soweto and Simi and Max Harvey and Posivina for our lineup, and people just think, okay, that's where it ends, but the amount of work that just goes on behind is insane, because that getting entertainment, that's the easy part. Honestly, just taking out that money, please come to my event, paying that money, that is just the easy part. The work that goes on behind that to ensure that everybody's safe, everybody's going to have a good time in an environment that is safe. One, it's a lot of work, but you know what? We definitely are enjoying it, and I think that the benefits of that will be great. And we don't plan to stop here. We're already working on our next event, which is Tembisa Jazz Festival, which will be happening in November. And we've got bigger plans as well. So we don't stop. We keep it moving. There's just too many things that we're busy planning. It's insane. It's insane. Yeah.
It makes sense why event organizers always have the smile that they have after a successful event.
Yeah.
You just see the sigh that they let out. Like, man, I can't believe it.
Yes.
Like you can see it. A person is just sighing. Like, is this me?
Go home, bruh. That's literally the end. Like it's like, yo, what's your dad? The relief that, I did this, the stress that comes with it. Wow, it's insane. It's insane, guys.
So
the
sigh came from deep within them. Like, man, this is me and I'm done for now. I did it.
Yeah.
Let me just be. because on a constant pressure high, constantly, just like I'm pushing this thing.
You said it. It's a constant pressure high because it's like you would think that after we planned one event, we would chill. We're like, no, we must plan an event while planning another one,
Which makes sense.
So you're constantly stressed out. You're constantly stressed at the amount of event, my goodness, that we're busy planning. And I mean, I'm grateful that I work with a team that, our philosophy is go big or go home. We believe in just making a noise. Like we want to do it and we want to do it right. Because we want to, make sure that the spaces that we offer to people are spaces that we ourselves would enjoy,
Yeah.
So it matters so much to us, like and I really do appreciate everybody that's just been welcoming the event so well. I mean, on Twitter the other day I had some other girl slam our event. Girl wanted to trap me. But she basically went on about how the amount that we are charging for the event is not worth the lineup. And that broke my heart to see that we're still thinking like that as a nation, because one, we just come out of a very hefty lockdown, right?
Yeah.
Two, I'd like to see them try bring us something Soweto to their event and tell me if they've got the budget. Let's start there. Three, it's a thing of like the disrespect towards our artists that dedicate their lives to doing this. This is not just something that they do as a hobby. This is their livelihood, right? This is part of who they are. The disrespect that went towards our entire events, us as the organizers, it's a lot for me. And I just feel like since I've been an event organizer, I respect what event organizers do on a whole different level. Because until you actually are in that position, you don't actually even understand what goes into it. It's insane. Like whatever I've said to you is the surface. And I mean, you guys get to each other in conversations due to pressure and the stress that comes to that. But I respect that so much. So I just really want us to urge ourselves to, be mindful to each other and to really just, I mean, if something's not for you, then no one is forcing you, no one's holding your head to, adhere to it or, even attend, I think let's respect this industry. The entertainment industry is so mean to each other. It's so unnecessary at times, and I'm talking about the talent, the team behind the talent. I'm talking about the fans that we do this for as well. It's like a vicious cycle, and sometimes it's unnecessary. Sometimes if we were to just brew and do things from a place of love and sometimes not even love, but mutual respect for one another, it would go such a long way. Hey, so, but you know what? I wouldn't change it any other day. I suppose it comes with the job. So I mean, and we live and we learn. But yeah, this is a warning. Anybody wants to try me, Sally always send me your address. I'll bite you.
You're ready for this.
Actually, before we go back to the events things, you've now mentioned something about artists. I want to ask you, from what you see on a regular basis, what kind of people does an artist need around them in order to have a successful and stable career in entertainment?
Sure. What a beautiful question. I say this because working with the amount of people that I have right now, and I'm talking about the prominent names, you need a team that one is not going to be your fans, right? That's super important.
Yeah.
A lot of the times it's so dangerous because we want to work with people, and a lot of the times they are fans. You see yourself as an artist and they're your fans. You're not going to succeed because those people aren't going to tell you the truth when they need to, right? However, a team that's not going to treat you like your fans, but rather as people that are pushing an entity. We need to get a business done. We understand our end goal and all of this. You need, you're the most important one of it all. You just need a team that truly believes in you as an artist. A team that looks out for you in every sense of that word. I've unfortunately seen situations whereby, people are chilling in high positions and they really aren't looking out for the interests of the business, but the interests of themselves, and the detriment that goes towards the talent that then suffer as a result. The damage is irreversible. And, to the public eye, to everybody else, they don't see it immediately, but they definitely will. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It follows, because then you see that the talent is not taken care of. That's when you see people leave. That's when and it doesn't even make sense to you. Like, oh, this artist left this record label, you just see the functionalities aren't going as smoothly or as they should. So one, a team that believes in you, a team that is going to be very honest with you, just a solid team. I think that sums it up. A solid team, and you can only have that if you know that the people that are with you are for you, because anybody can be with you but be against you. But some people that are for you, they will take the fall, that even if things get tough, they're the same people that they're not waiting for that paycheck. They're like, I believe in you as a brand. So even if the business goes down and you don't have money to pay any one of us, we're still within this thing and we're going to build it up again, because it happens that people fall down. I mean, it could be anything. It could be whatever you've done, how you've conducted business, or it could be something like a pandemic, like COVID. Anything can happen, So yeah, a solid team, guys. If I could tell any artist, anybody, whether you're a musician, whether you're an actress, whether you're an influencer, just a solid team that will get you far.
Now that's true, because some of them, unfortunately, they just have a team who is just a writer and they just want writer packages.
Yeah, that's what's bad. But I would see we're gonna be seen. We want to be famous, as well.
I'm rolling with this person, it's important. So I really like your answer. And while we're still on artists and events as well, now there's a question I've wanted an answer to it, but I never seem to get an answer. What's the whole idea behind the rider package, and why does it have to be so expensive?
You know what? Recently, I saw Uncle Waffle's package, right?
Yeah.
And I think, what, a lot of people were opposed. They were opposed to it, and they were just like, "Oh, it's expensive." I say, let the girl charge. I say this with my whole chest because I think I love it for her, and I think we need to actually be okay with him to a progressive South Africa, where we're not afraid to charge what our artists are worth. We know what Uncle Waffles can do and the crowd she can bring in. Yeah. Why are we opposed to paying her dues? She is definitely not just a DJ. She's an international DJ. That child is traveling. Do you understand?
Yeah.
She's creating a noise. So why are we so opposed to paying her what she needs to be paid? And another thing that we don't get is that, these prices that they put out are negotiable, guys. Yeah. They are negotiable. It's like that with every artist. I can assure you that as somebody who works with artists, they are negotiable. The point is, though, we need to start somewhere. And you do this. Uncle Waffles has chosen to make this her career. A livelihood must be made out of it. When a chartered accountant comes to us and they say that I'm going to charge you 100 G's to do what I need to be doing, we're not opposed to it. We're like, oh, this makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Artists are the same. This is their livelihood. This is their bread and their butter. This is what they do. They make money off bringing the crowds. They make money off serving us and delivering the music to us. So I say that it should be that way. If you know your worth, charge them. Charge out, guys. Put that money on.
So this knowing your worth also goes to the rider. That's what
it extends. It extends. Look, there are some of them that are just like,
that's where I'm going. That's what I was leading to, understand, because I feel like there are people who, when you look at, like, okay, a boil or two of Remy is not gonna hurt us, But there are people
I think we're losing you there, Z.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. I don't know if you can hear Palesa.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, now you're back.
All right, sorry about that. Now, I was saying, I feel like
I can hear.
As you said with Uncle Waffles, there are people where you feel like, okay,
yes,
if I give her this, it's not going to dent my budget in any way, right? But there are people you look at, you're like, but no ways. You're asking for, before even the rider package, the business class, accommodation that is 5-star, transportation that is this and that and that. Then you want the whole rider package, you want Hubley, you want this and that and that. But if it was just you on the lineup, I say not even 20% of the people who came would have came, you know. So
True.
for me, I feel like it should be relative.
Definitely should. And I mean, that's where, you know, managers, events organizers, they need to learn the gift of the gab of negotiating and be like, look, if you feel like you're opposed to this amount, then you definitely should say so, you know. But other than that, I mean, if if people are willing to pay for that, then I see no harm. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm gonna check out Uncle Waffles, right? I didn't say it.
It's dope.
Of course you're gonna say that.
Because I saw it. I saw it. I think in South Africa is it indoor outdoor events? She charges like 80K. Something
indoor.
like that.
And then for the outdoor,
indoor.
she says 120.
Yeah.
Guys, this woman is
earning
serious money.
I'm not mad. I'm really not mad.
Yeah. And it's about 3 times that amount for when she's performing internationally.
Lord,
because when she's abroad,
we need to change careers. Yeah. We need to change careers because there's no way.
Yeah, understand.
That's why,
focus.
That's why I'm learning how to DJ. Yeah, so I can charge the waffles.
I'm learning how to DJ because I need to eat because these fools are not gonna pay themselves.
It's meant to eat. Hello.
Okay, so we lost you. Can you hear us now?
Palesa?
I can hear you guys. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
now we can.
Okay, cool.
All right. Now, Palesa, you said on the 6th you have an event, but I want us to just go back a bit before we go to our final question. You said, please tell us about that event because I understand it's a women's event, it's an all-white event. Is that the one where Something Soweto is going to be performing?
100%. So yeah, our lineup is comprising of Something Soweto, Simi, Mposibina, as well as Marcus Harvey. It's just women's all white celebration. Like I said, it's going to be taking place at Mall of Africa Waterfall Park. I mean, it's been a long time. We've been locked down, and I think even for us as the event organizers, we haven't done, you know, a women's type of celebration. So we just thought that this would be so fitting to celebrate women. And I mean, it's all about celebrating women in the industry, you know, just women as a whole. And we want men to join us as well in celebrating women. So, I mean, for some fun under the sun, guys, you know, some nice music, you know, I see no harm in having that. And I mean, we've got amazing sponsors on board, which is Tanqueray and, you know, Appetizer, excuse me. So like, it's so great that they're going to be there. And so please tell everybody, guys, that when they buy a ticket, go not automatically get a welcome drink. So you know, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. It's just light-hearted fun in the sun, just good vibes, good food. We're gonna have like a chef available on the day, so you can just watch them chopping your food, just be happy there, you know. Must just select. And then, you know, yeah, we're just gonna make sure that everybody's entertained. And by the way, I'm the MC, so that's going to be a great one as well. So yeah, it's just going to be a fun-filled day. It's just going to be a fun-filled day for women, by a woman, to celebrate women, and men are going to help us. You know? Yeah, that's what it's about.
You know, you've done so amazing for a person who's been doing this for quite a few years. Like,
thank you so much.
Like, it's amazing.
Thank you so much. I truly do appreciate that. It hasn't always been easy, but you definitely do try. I think, you know, that's how I know that I'm in the right career. It's the passion that goes behind it. You know, if it wasn't for the passion, I think I would have pulled out my hair and given up a long time ago. Truth be told. And I mean, there are those days definitely where it's very questionable. But I know for sure that this is what I want to do and what I want to keep doing. But, you know, I definitely want to keep pushing myself, pushing boundaries. You know, I definitely want to make sure that I don't just end up here. Of want to get back into radio. I want to get into podcasting, so definitely some expansion in my career is in the foreseeable future. And yeah, just keep pushing boundaries, guys. If it works for me, I want to be within. It's gonna make me money. I want to be within. I need to be part of those girls and Rolls Royces. Do you understand me? Like, yes. So yeah, that's the energy. That's the energy.
Before I go to my final question, I don't know if you have anything else you want to ask me.
No, I'm good. I feel like she answered even the questions that I was ready to ask. She was like, I'll give you everything. And I'm here for it. I am here for it.
Awesome.
The person's in your hips. She's like, I'll give you. Don't worry, relax.
Awesome.
All right. Palesa, you have been doing so much in the last 2 years. But please tell us about the next 5 years. Where do you want us to see Palesa Moditambi in 5 years from today?
Ooh, in 5 years, the girl's gonna be international. Okay, understand that. She'll be dealing with international brands. I definitely will be in my New York City apartment. I won't be leaving y'all out here in SA. I still will be doing great things for my SA folk, but I definitely do myself, see myself, headed out in that direction. I just feel myself and creating and building on the S brand to really becoming a global brand, So, and that starts by, doing cross borders and actually touching into those surfaces, So for me, the goal is to go international now, working with international artists, and it will happen. Trust me. So, that's literally the plan. Issa is going global. That's the 5-year plan. She's going global.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, that's pretty much everyone that we have ever had on the podcast are people who we believe in, are people who we believe in the work that they do, and the direction that they want to take their careers. So we really do believe that in 5 years' time, probably Zia and I will be visiting you in New York, showing us around. Things like that.
Hey, now that's it. And it specifically has to be New York, guys. There's something about that city that it attracts me. It speaks to me, So it's New York. It's New York. Trust me.
I hear you. And it's been an absolute pleasure having you, Palesa. You are truly a shining light in the media space, the space that you're occupying. And we really believe in you. We believe in your work.
Thank you so much.
And we really believe that you're going to do great and amazing things. It's only been 2 years. It's only been 2 years that you've actually dedicated yourself to this, but you are doing so well. And we're looking forward to seeing where you're going with your career.
Thank you so much, guys. And it's been an absolute pleasure being on here. And you guys keep growing what you're doing, keep shining. And we're going to meet up again in a few years. And we're going to be in New York, guys. And we're going to be doing this podcast next to each other in New York.
Yeah.
That's
it. Yes. Palesa, thank you very much for being with us. Thank you for joining us today. So that is it from us, the Oracles. Z, any final words before you close?
Like every other episode, I enjoy them now, but this energy that I received here. Do you see her nails? No?
Yeah.
Her energy matches her nails. She's just a rainbow.
Man, I not going the night. Please, you see me even at night.
We see you. Yeah. But man, thank you so much for speaking to us. We really appreciate everything you shared. The knowledge has been amazing.
Thank you for having me, guys. And like I said, keep shining and keep pushing what you're doing. It's amazing what you're doing.
That is it from the Oracles. Thank you very much, Palesa. Thank you very much, Z. We'll be back again next week. Cheers.